Welcome
Hello
to the Tea Rodeo, otherwise known as TPE.
Ooh.
We are drinking some Yiwu tea. This is a 2009 Biyun Mahei. I got this sample from Teas We Like, so thank you to those folks over there. Yeah, don't use too much of that.
No.
Very condensed.
Yes.
And we will be drinking some 14-year-old Yiwu.
Cool.
You know, we'll see what Yiwu likes to do when it's a teenager, if it likes to act up a little bit. Yeah.
And so why would it being 14 years old be remarkable for the average person out there?
It's enough time that you would expect it to definitely develop some interesting age characteristics. Biyun is also a Taiwanese-based vendor. I believe they're based in Taichung, which is kind of on the central west part of the Taiwanese island. So it's definitely on the kind of hot and humid side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So you would expect it to age accordingly. I don't know if this tea was actually stored there, but presumably it was stored in Taiwan. That's where Teas We Like gets a lot of stuff from. That's also where Biyun is based. So that's my educated guess too. And Taiwan is known to age teas, decently fast compared to the West, certainly. Yeah. So we would expect it to maybe not be aged, but have some strong age characteristics.
Right. And these Yiwus can often be drank much earlier in their life cycle than other Pu'erh. And so what might be remarkable too is that, not that we shouldn't have an aged Yiwu Pu'erh, but it's not as common.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And Mahei is the name of this tea. Mahei is one of those villages that has a pretty, the stereotype of it is to have very classical Yiwu profile. So you wouldn't expect this to be like a Guofengjai, have like a little bit of stronger, thicker personality to it. So let's see how this is. Smells nice.
Yeah.
Sort of like in that hay barnyard aroma for me. A little faint on the aroma, I'm going to say overall, but has a nice sort of sweetness to it. Maybe a little sugar cane mixed in there too.
Yeah, totally. A little bit of some stone fruit type thing going on in there too. So just use this to heat the cups up. Okay. And I don't know how much leaf I'm using here, but whatever. I did a lot of the leaf from the bottom of the pack came out in this, so it will brew up a little bit faster as a result of that, as opposed to being a bunch of big chunks. Beautiful color.
Very nice clarity. Looks very clean. How's it? Looks like a fair amount of leaf in this Gaiwan.
I don't think it should be too strong. The
It smells nice.
Yeah. I always like to enjoy looking at the leaves after they have been soaked a little bit. You can kind of get a better sense of the color then. And yeah, they look not super oxidized. A little bit green still, but...
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. All right.
Check out.
Cheerio.
I should take a look at our analytics for UK visitors and see if maybe 2 years ago it just started to plummet.
Go up, you mean? Finally connected with our UK audience.
Yeah, with our great accent. Yeah.
What do you think of the tea?
Yeah, if we get to 9,000 subscribers, over 9,000, Denny's gonna show you his Scottish accent.
You don't want to see it, because
yeah.
I don't even know what it is. So watch out.
We might get some unsubscribers. What did you ask me?
What do you think of the tea?
Oh.
What are we supposed to do here?
Well, now that you mention it. Interesting.
It is interesting.
It's a little herbal. I'd say you do get a bit of those flavor profiles from the tea.
You get
the thickness is pretty strong on it.
Mm-hmm.
The agedness is less than I would expect for
Same.
something that 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Definitely does taste a bit aged. That herbal note is something that I don't think you're usually going to get from a young tea. But the aging, I would say, is on the dry side of Taiwan.
Definitely different.
Yeah. The thickness of it, and perhaps it's just because we're contrasting it versus the Lanqiang.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's decently thick. Also sort of hints at astringency the same way as that Phoenix Oolong does.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
it's one that you could tell does have a bit of potency to it.
Yeah, it's that kind of green astringency that's interesting.
Yeah.
In this, it's powerful. Again, it's not peaty, but it's like almost peaty. It's a little hay-y, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
It provides a kind of this like depth and intensity that contrasts beautifully with kind of the higher notes of this tea. There's a lot of sweetness in it, but not as sugary as I would expect. But we'll get into it.
Not as much as the aroma. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, it really isn't nearly as sweet as you'd think. Like I'd say below average sweetness for Yiwu for sure.
Mm-hmm. Which is saying something because Yiwus are notoriously quite sweet, saccharine sweet. Yeah, much basier than I anticipated.
Yeah, kind of has like a grain profile.
I don't know if I could place, speaking to my own shortcomings with tea, I don't think I could place this as an Yiwu necessarily.
I don't know that I would either. It does have a nice sort of like lingering sweetness to it, but like usually you'd expect a little more sugar cane up front, something like that. And I do feel like I get a little bit of that in the aroma. Like the aroma is more what I'd expect from an Yiwu than the actual taste is.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. A little fruit on the nose.
Yeah. How do you like it?
I like it.
Yeah.
It's different though. Again, not what I don't think I would use this as an example introducing someone to an Yiwu.
Probably
I think
not,
this probably doesn't represent the typical Yiwu.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And yeah, the age on this, certainly adding something, but I'm not getting super aged tastes.
Sure. Mom test, ultralight.
Oh. No, for sure on the ultralight. It really needs a flash brew. Mom test? I don't know. Again, that kind of green undertone is like strong.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd almost say this tea is a little bit in an awkward state, perhaps. I do think this tea feels like it could have been a little... The flavor profile is just like not totally clear to me right now. It's a little muddled. And I think perhaps in 5 or 6 years, when the tea is approaching 20 years old, I think it could maybe develop something a little more clear.
Yeah.
Because it still has some of those higher notes, but not a lot.
Right.
I wonder. And I do also think 4 or 5 years ago, perhaps there was enough like higher notes that it sort of makes up for that.
Yeah.
Maybe they have more of that sugar cane that we can smell but not taste.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the basiness might die down a little bit and leave more room for some of those other notes to come back up.
You can tell there's a lot going on in this tea, though. It has that sort of tannic stone fruitness to it too. It definitely has some guts behind it.
Yeah, a little juicy and almost like a little bit tart.
Yeah.
And I'd say that there's like a solid tone of bitterness in this.
Yeah, I think so too.
Interesting. I'm gonna throw some hot water at this and see how it performs. Almost getting kind of those middle toned roasted flavors a little bit, and which is kind of surprising. Again, I don't really associate Yiwu with those rounder flavors. Maybe in a subtle way, but this is kind of like it's very middle bodied. Definitely interesting and different. Fun to bring on the show because these are the kind of teas that frankly are most interesting to share on the show.
Yeah.
So.
And I've had this before, but frankly, I don't remember it. So it was a blind sample initially. So, we'll see. It's also been in the sample bag for a couple of years now. So, that might impact things slightly.
Mm-hmm. Let me let this hang out for a minute. Really push it.
So, Denny, what makes you choose to push a tea like this?
For the show, in this context, to kind of get a wide variety of brewing parameters under the belt, I would do it in my own personal sessions if I were looking to, if I just thought that the brew was too weak, right? If I wanted to test out the quality of the leaves and see how far I can bring it. Is there a large range for this tea? If I brew it too hot for too long, will I ruin the tea? Some teas you can just kind of assume yes. But this is kind of one of those teas where it's like, this is interesting. I wonder what happens. So it's more of an experiment. I feel like I'm probably more likely to experiment with teas and push teas that I find to be a little bit novel.
Carry out.
Cheerio. It's like bitter and full-bodied.
Yeah, kind of gets at that stone fruitness too, while still having that sort of grain backbone.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is, I wouldn't say it's awkward, it's not this bad today, but I think it does need more time.
Yeah.
I think the balance is a little bit off.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just a bad day for this tea, but I would be curious to revisit this tea once it is a little more aged.
Yeah.
And see.
I like the earthiness of it. Kind of minerally, some there too. Strong. I think this is a tea drinker's tea at this point today.
I think so.
Yeah, and could benefit from some age. Would have been incredibly interesting to try a year after pressing.
Yeah. I don't think this is a beginner's tea at all at
Right.
this point. Definitely something that, as you said, not your first Yiwu, but maybe try this in contrast with some other semi-aged Yiwus. It's a good chance to try different Yiwus from different ages and just sort of compare and contrast, see what this one tastes like versus something that's 7 or 8 years old or something that's even 20 years old, and perhaps you can learn a thing or two.
Yeah, the aroma is really, really interesting. Teas we like, check them out. Another one of those vendors that I think, frankly, it's like I'm just struggling to think of anything that we haven't enjoyed. And this is, I think, kind of a tea nerd's tea, like you said. So I would say tread lightly. I wouldn't necessarily say go buy a big cake of this immediately. But try it out and see if it's going to fit your palate and if you like it.
That astringency is sticking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's potent.
Yeah,
More so
it
than
is
I
very
expect.
potent,
From an Yiwu's perspective, that part is unique and interesting. So it's something to experiment with. I think it needs more time, to your point. I'm just sitting here just being lit up. So
Yeah.
Check out Teas We Like. Give them a Google. I think it's .com.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like the episode, give us a like or whatever. Comment. Or not. I don't know. We're so bad at marketing. Do the stuff if you want. Keep watching if you want.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll be back with more shenanigans soon. So until then.
Cheers.